On the 10th of May 2025, Indian Air Force fighter jets carried out a series of precision strikes deep inside Pakistani territory. These were not isolated or symbolic actions. These were targeted, they were deliberate. India struck not once, but at least 4 times.
Attack hua hai Noor Khan base pe.
Hitting air bases, air defense systems, and critical command and control infrastructure. These strikes marked the unfolding of Operation Sindoor, which was a bold military maneuver which may well redefine the way India thinks about war, deterrence, and counterterrorism. This was not just another retaliatory operation, it was a tectonic shift in strategic thinking. For over 2 decades, every Indian Prime Minister has faced the same dilemma: how to punish Pakistan for cross-border terrorism without escalating it into nuclear conflict. That conundrum has shackled India's responses since Kargil. Limited operations like the 2016 surgical strikes, the 2019 Balakot airstrikes, these were all significant, but they did not alter the strategic calculus. The threat of Pakistan's nuclear arsenal always loomed over any serious retaliation. That is no longer the case. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done what no Indian Prime Minister before him could do. He has demonstrated that India possesses a spectrum of credible military options below the nuclear threshold, and India is willing to use them. Operation Sindoor has broken the myth that Pakistan's nuclear weapons are a free pass for indulging in terrorism. The Indian Air Force, using a mix of Rafale and Sukhoi 30 MKI fighters, unleashed a devastating combination of Scalp long-range cruise missiles and the BrahMos missile, which is the indigenously developed ballistic missile. The opening strike on the 10th hit Pakistan's Noor Khan Air Base in Chaklala. It's a key hub for the country's Northern Air Command. In the second and final wave of attacks, Indian jets targeted Jacobabad in the Sindh and Bhulari, both further south in Pakistan. But by then, the campaign had already achieved what it set out to do. Pakistan had folded. Its military leadership was scrambling for American mediation and calling for an immediate ceasefire. The turning point came with one phone call. On the morning of the 10th of May, US Secretary of State and acting National Security Advisor Marco Rubio spoke directly with Pakistan's Army Chief, General Asim Munir. By that point, Pakistan had lost key air assets and strategic systems. Munir had a sobering reality check. That escalation would only lead to more destruction, and certainly there was no way for him or the Pakistan army to win this war. He requested Rubio to ask India for a ceasefire. Rubio then called up Jaishankar, his counterpart here in India, who then told Rubio that the request has to come not from the Americans or from any other third party. The request has to come directly from the Pakistanis to the Indians. Subsequently, at 3:30 that afternoon on the 10th of May, the Pakistani DGMO called the Indian DGMO and asked for a ceasefire. The scope of Operation Sindoor was staggering. Indian missiles did not just hit terrorist camps or terrorist infrastructure, they dismantled parts of Pakistan's conventional military capacity. This had never happened since 1971. 9 terror locations were struck on the 7th of May. There were loitering munitions used, missiles used from the Army, Air Force and Navy. Scalp and BrahMos missiles targeted these terror hubs, particularly the 2 headquarters, Muridke of the Lashkar and Bahawalpur of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Subsequently, in the days leading up to the 10th of May, Indian forces also took out a Chinese-made LY-80 air defense system in Lahore by using an Israeli kamikaze Harpy drone. An even more significant strike came when an Indian missile destroyed the HQ-9 system, the Chinese indigenous air defense system in Malir in Karachi. India's S-400 air defense system was deployed in Adampur and was active throughout the operation. It engaged enemy threats on at least a dozen occasions, reportedly even pulling down a Pakistani Saab 2000 airborne early warning aircraft, or AWACS, that was more than 300 kilometers inside Pakistani territory. In addition, India also claims to have destroyed a C-130J medium-lift aircraft, a JF-17, again a Chinese fighter jet, and 2 F-16 fighters. Pakistan, of course, will never verify or independently confirm these claims. The use of the Scalp and the BrahMos in tandem was a strategic choice. It ensured that Pakistani targets were not only hit but they were obliterated to the ground. The phrase used by the Prime Minister was "mitti mein mila denge," and that's exactly what happened to some of the frontline air bases of Pakistan on the morning of the 10th. This mix of precision and range sent a clear message to Pakistan. India now has the capability and the political intent to hit Pakistan hard without any fear of escalation. And yet, what may have truly shaken Pakistan, and what cannot be publicly ever confirmed, but what was only speculated, is this. There still continue to be, 3 weeks after Operation Sindoor, persistent rumors and reports that India may have targeted the Kirana Hills, which was long believed to be a nuclear storage site in Pakistan. Both the Indian Air Force and the International Atomic Energy Agency have denied this, yet this rumor of India hitting Kirana Hills refuses to die. If India did indeed strike or signal an ability to strike Kirana Hills, it would be an unprecedented move. It would mean that India deliberately signaled to Pakistan, "We know where your nuclear weapons are, and we can hit you." What unfolded over 4 days in the first week of May was unlike anything seen before in India-Pakistan context. For the first time, two nuclear-armed nations engaged in a full-fledged conventional exchange of fire, and yet they managed to stop short of nuclear confrontation. This is a landmark moment in global military history. The old assumption that India could not respond militarily to Pakistan without risking nuclear war, that has now been completely upended. That assumption has defined South Asian security for the last 25 years, since both India and Pakistan managed to become nuclear weapon states. Operation Sindoor has now rewritten that. The Modi government has achieved something remarkable. It has created a credible and scalable deterrent model for punishing cross-border terror. It has shown the world that India can strike not just tactically, but strategically, and it can still control the ladder of escalation. Pakistan's reliance on nuclear blackmail has been blunted. This is a new doctrine, and it's not just a military doctrine, it's also a political doctrine. It combines credible intelligence, precision weaponry, calibrated escalation, followed by deft diplomacy. It is called the Modi Doctrine. The risks are still there. The nuclear shadow has not vanished. Pakistan's military will adapt. Non-state actors will seek newer ways to unleash terror. And then India will be forced to escalate too. But the rules of engagement with Operation Sindoor have changed completely. Operation Sindoor has done more than destroy targets. It has reset the balance of power in South Asia. It has reshaped India's response playbook. And most of all, it has told Pakistan and the rest of the world that if provoked, India will respond with strength, with clarity, and without hesitation. This is not just a new chapter in India's security strategy, it's a whole new doctrine. A doctrine that is forged in precision, restraint, and resolve. And its name is underlined in Sindoor.